Welcome to YouTube channel Connecting World with Innovative Experts. This is Suresh Venkat. It's pleasure welcoming Mr. Pradeep as our guest of honor, who is going to talk on finer aspects of arbitration. Mr. Pradeep comes with close to 30 years of experience in the legal field and is a national rank holder in arbitration exam and currently is associated with automobile manufacturing company as AGM legal department and he has co-authored books on arbitration. Today he is going to talk on finer aspects of arbitration. Welcome, Mr. Pradeep. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Thanks for giving me yet another opportunity to speak on arbitration. See, the topic is finer points of arbitration. First is we'll discuss what is interim award. Award is a judgment that is final. If any judgment is passed in the interim, it is called interim award. So interim award, when can an arbitrator pass an interim award? Say, for example, if there is an admission of debtor liability by a debtor to his creditor, that out of 3 lakhs, he is liable to pay only 2.5 lakhs and undertakes to make payment of the same. Then to the extent of the admitted liability, you can get an interim award. And for the residue, you continue with the arbitration. So out of 3 lakhs, if he says 2.5 is my debt, I'm disputing the 50. Then for 2.50, you can straight away get an interim award. That cannot be assailed by him also. He is prevented from resiling from his own statement. Coming to international arbitration, see, there are 2 types of arbitration, domestic and international. See, international arbitration means one party should be a foreign national in international arbitration. So if one party to an arbitration is a foreign national, it becomes international arbitration. And the beauty is, even when the seat of arbitration is outside India, the parties can seek interim orders from the courts in India. Yes, even the seat is outside India, the parties can seek. So obviously the arbitration, suppose if the seat is in India itself, then obviously it is easy for them to seek an order. Domestic award. See, the award passed in international commercial arbitration is also a domestic award. Though you may call it as international commercial arbitration, it is a domestic award, becomes enforceable as if it is a decree. Receipt of communication, another important point. See, this is a very piquant situation where we litigants come across that if notices of arbitration and as well as the proceedings and minutes of the arbitrator are served on the respondent, invariably they get returned undelivered with an endorsement, door locked or not available or refused or any such thing. So the law gives a leverage for you to make a memo, submit a memo before the arbitrator under section 3, stating that you have taken steps and served the notices on the last place, residential place known to you, or official place known to you, or last address available with him under the agreement or document. So this is another communication. So that will be construed as a final service of notice, and arbitration will proceed further. Waiver of right to object. See, there are some time limits prescribed in arbitration law. For example, if you are going to challenge the jurisdiction of arbitrator, it has to be done before filing your first statement on substance of dispute. And if you file the first statement on substance of dispute, later on you cannot file any application to challenge the jurisdiction of the arbitrator. Whereas when it comes to challenging the arbitrator himself, instead of his jurisdiction, any number of applications can be filed. For the simple reason, bias can be established either at the commencement or during the progress of the arbitration. So it can be established. So it is possible in domestic award also. Administrative assistance. See, you cannot expect arbitrators to be a technocrat and equipped with the state-of-the-art technology. So in such case, the parties may have to provide a laptop or a stenographer or a projection screen rather. So all these things have to be given to arbitrator so that he will commence and continue the proceedings. But invariably, some arbitrators who have been in this profession for over 2 decades have all infrastructure with them to conduct the arbitration. If a suit is filed, another important point. If a suit, which is the subject matter of arbitration, if it is filed in a civil court, the party, the defendant, namely the party against whom the case is filed, can file an application in the same suit for relegation of suit to arbitration. Relegation means sending back, sending to arbitration. So he can seek a relegation order. And duty is, notwithstanding the pendency of his application for relegation of arbitration, he can commence the arbitration, he can continue the arbitration and also conclude the arbitration. So it's not binding on the parties, not even on the arbitrator. So this is another important advantage in arbitration. Interim awards by court. When interim awards by court can be granted? Under the amended law, prior to commencement of arbitration, the party who is seeking some relief in the interim can file application in the court of proper jurisdiction, jurisdictional court for interim award. That is interim orders. And in that application, he has to give an undertaking that within 90 days from the date of the order, he shall commence the arbitration. Failing to commence arbitration ends up in negation of the interim order. So there's a time limit again prescribed in this. Once an arbitrator is appointed, Section 9 applications cannot be filed in the court because it has to be filed only before the arbitrator in Section 17. Once an arbitration has commenced, no applications before the court is possible. It can be done only before the arbitrator under Section 17. So this is another important aspect which had been amended under the recent act. So applications for appointment of arbitrator. See, for that consent is a must. Consent is a must. Consent of arbitrator is a must. You mean that is, if a party wants to initiate arbitration against another party, either party or both of them should seek consent from the arbitrator, who will say, yes, I will officiate. I will take the reference on file. I will officiate the dispute. I will be an arbitrator. If in case if he has interest in affairs of either of the parties, he can say, no, I'm not going to be because I'm interested in A, I'm interested in B. So the consent is very, very important. Without appointing a consent, without obtaining the consent, you cannot file any arbitration at all. That is very, very important. It is a prerequisite for commencement of arbitration. Application for appointment. See now, Arbitration Council of India is going to be set up. Once that Arbitration Council of India is being constituted, then applications for appointment of arbitrator cannot be filed in court. It is virtually tossed out of court because the amended law provides for institutional arbitration rather than ad hoc arbitration. Institutional arbitration. There have been institutions like Rani Pankiwala Center, Madras Chamber of Commerce, Indian Council of Arbitration, and such other things. Any number of applications, as I told you, for challenging the appointment of arbitrator can be filed before him. That is, not jurisdiction, only appointment of arbitrator, saying that he does not possess required qualification, or he has become incapacitated either legally or factually from officiating as arbitrator. All such things. So that also can be provided before the arbitrator. No caucasus in arbitration. What is caucasus? It's a Latin expression, caucasus. Caucasus means private hearing, personal hearing, one-on-one hearing that is not permissible in arbitration. So arbitrator cannot conduct inquiry in caucasus. He should hear both the parties at the same time. He cannot choose to listen to one party on such a day and then go for listening to the other party on another day. Is not possible. So caucasus is not there. But in conciliation, caucasus is possible. Conciliation means nobody is going to agitate the dispute. They are going to conciliate the dispute. So at that point of time, the conciliator has to personally find out from each party independently that whether or what is the extent to what extent he is going to conciliate the dispute. Amendment of pleadings. See, there are pleadings, claim statement and defense statements are pleadings in arbitration. So amendment, can the pleadings be amended? Yes, it can be amended. But if arbitrator refuses to grant permission to amend the pleadings, you cannot amend it. Neither such analysis is challengeable. It becomes final. So that is why the parties are very vigilant in filing the defense statement or claim statement, confining to all points of law and facts. All points, and so that amendment at the later stage can be averted. But if an arbitrator permits amending the statement of defense or claim, then obviously it will proceed as a fresh document. No party can file an application without notice from another party. Another important point. See, if you are filing an application in arbitration for interim relief, or if you're even filing a memo stating that you're not available such and such day, seeking adjournment, that has to be served on the respondent also, on the other party also. Because as I told you, it should be done with the consent of both the parties. And the other party, if he objects to adjournment, an arbitrator can decide whether to hear him or to rule against his plea. Default of a party. See, when arbitration has commenced, the claimant is required to file claim statement and the respondent is required to file defense statement. What will happen if the claimant does not file claim statement? If he does not file the claim statement, then the arbitration will be terminated totally. If respondent does not file his statement of defense, without considering such a non-filing as an admission, the arbitrator has to decide the dispute on merits. So that is, he can, if the prima facie case is not made out by the claimant, arbitrator can even dismiss it instead of giving an ex parte judgment if in case the respondent is not appearing. Likewise, coming to evidence part of it, if parties agree to give oral evidence in the court before the arbitrator, and if one of the parties does not turn up despite his agreement, then the arbitrator can proceed with the reference from the available materials before him. It could be documentary, readings, and all. So it can be done by the arbitrator from the available materials. Award by 3 arbitrators. See, there are some arbitral tribunals constituted where 3 arbitrators preside over. So in such a case, all the arbitrators must sign the award. If one arbitrator is dissenting from the view of the judgment of other arbitrators, he has to pass a dissenting judgment, dissenting award. And the party assailing the award should file the dissenting award also as a document, along with the concurrent award. For the simple reason, the court can set aside the concurrent award and uphold the so-called award which is not passed by the arbitrator in accordance with the law or whatever you call it. Fast track arbitration. See, there is another provision under the amended act for fast track arbitration. What is fast track arbitration? There is a time limit is prescribed within 6 months from the date of arbitrator accepting the reference. He should dispose of he can commence arbitration on fast track mode. The only important thing to be noted in mind is that for having a fast track arbitration, both the parties must jointly appoint an arbitrator. If one party appoints an arbitrator and seeks for fast track arbitration, it is not possible. Both the parties must agree and then apply for the orders from the arbitrator. Correction and interpretation of award. See, arbitrator like a judge is infallible. So he might make some mistake, either clerical or grammatical or arithmetical and all those things. In such an event, arbitrator suo motu, that means by his own conduct, on his own motion, he can correct the award. But the limit is that within 30 days. 30 days is the time limit prescribed for the arbitrator to correct his own award. When correction here includes even interpretation of an award. If one party does not understand the ratio desiderendi of the arbitrator, he can always seek interpretation of the award. So that also has to be filed within 30 days. So once the application for interpretation of the award is filed, the arbitrator has to consider that and give his interpretation. Application for setting aside award. See, application for setting aside award should be filed within 90 days. And grace days of 30 days are given, the court will condone it. So 120 days. So within 120 days, the award has to be challenged. In case if the party is not happy, who suffered the arbitrator wants to assail it. At the same time, what is the time limit given for execution of the awards? Time limit given for the execution of award is 12 years. Just like a civil court decree. A civil court decree can be executed within 12 years. Even the arbitral award can also be executed within 12 years. Whereas, if it is to be assailed, it must be done within 120 days from the date of the award has been passed. Enforcement. As I told you, enforcement is the easiest thing in arbitration. Once you get an award which goes unchallenged, then you can file an application for enforcing the award. And the party cannot re-agitate the dispute. It's not a correct award, or is not bound by the award. And also, objections he cannot make. So while enforcing the award, the court has to see only the terms of the award and execute the award. Provisions in case of insolvency. So you may ask me a question, whether an insolvent can become a party to arbitration. Yes, if a person who becomes insolvent during the pendency of arbitration or at the time of commencement of arbitration, the official liquidator, namely the court officer, has to adopt the arbitration clause. This is insolvency arbitration. In insolvency arbitrations, the official liquidator has to adopt it. He cannot say the party has applied for insolvency and it should be heard by different court. He has to adopt it and participate in the arbitration. So that is the special privilege given to arbitrations. Confidentiality. See, yet another thing is, the parties would like to keep their arguments and pleadings confidential. So the parties can also agree, but except the award. Award cannot be kept confidential because award is a public document. Award becomes a public document because it can be enforced as well as assigned. Except the award, the rest of the pleadings and documents and hearings and proceedings of the arbitrator can be kept confidential if parties agree. This is again a new amendment brought into the force under the amended law. Protection of action taken in good faith. You may ask me a question, whether can arbitrator be pulled up in a court for his award? See, the arbitrator, there is no bar. There is no bar in filing an application, impleading the arbitrator also as one of the respondents. But it is not mandatory that he should answer all the pleadings. He should answer the objections raised by the person who is challenging the award. So this is another important aspect in arbitration, that confidentiality and protection of arbitration in case if arbitrators have to decide that case in good faith. And the arbitrators can also be examined by the court. If flagrantly violated, the arbitrator flagrantly violates the law or sets aside the convention, legal convention, and proceeds with the reference, then it can always be agitated later. But for that, you should file an application for setting aside the award, not for execution. Setting aside the award has to be filed. Res judicata in arbitration. This is another important point. Res judicata means, once the list is a case, once the list is adjudicated, it cannot be reopened again. This is as far as civil procedure code is concerned. But under the arbitration law, after the award is passed, and if the award is set aside, notwithstanding the setting aside of the award, the party can re-agitate the same dispute which was resolved, either in the form of fresh arbitration, or he can even go to a civil court. So this is the biggest advantage in arbitration. So that means finality, when the finality will come and it is accepted by the parties. When it is not accepted by the parties, finality of the arbitration award cannot come. Any questions, Mr. Suresh?
No, Mr. Pradeep. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your valuable time spent here. Thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge and experience and spending a valuable time on a weekend. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.